Welcome to Trucking with Liberty. We're going to try this out again. If this doesn't end up having anyone in it, this is going to be converted into a video. But today I want to talk about insurance. Everyone's favorite subject, right? Well, so today this past weekend, I was going through. Sorry about that. Today in this past weekend, I was going through the budget for the company and seeing where I could cut some costs. Believe it or not, figured out I could cut a lot of costs on insurance. I didn't know how much. I reached out to my agent last Friday, and prior to today, I had my insurance deductible at $1,000 for collision and comprehensive. My insurance is right around $19,000 a year. So I asked my agent, how much will I save by switching and changing that? And my agent's like, well, I'm not sure. You should save quite a bit, but I'll have to run a new quote on you. So I'm like, all right, well, go ahead and do that. My insurance renewal comes up here in September. That's when my renewal will be, right towards the end of September. My current policy expires and my new one will take effect. I haven't got any quotes yet for my new policy. It'll be my 3-year policy, but we shall see. But as far as changing the deductibles, currently, prior to today, I had my deductible for comprehensive and collision at $1,000. And at the time, whenever I've had it that way since I first started my authority. At the time, I thought, okay, $1,000, it's double what my car deductible is, like for my personal vehicles. Like, well, $1,000, that's a little bit high, but we'll do that. Well, fast forward about 2 years, that's actually low. I did not realize that. Whenever I first got my insurance, I didn't realize it. And then whenever I was looking at my policy last week and over the weekend, I'm like, $1,000 is actually pretty low for a trucking company. Why, you might ask? Well, think about this. Would you put in a claim for $2,000 of damage? Maybe you would. Maybe you wouldn't. I would not. Why is that? Why not? You could save so much money by just having your deductible by lower, and then if someone hits the side of your trailer while your trailer's dropped at a Cisco, it was a shorted Grocers, you save a lot of money, right? Well, as you could probably guess, that happened to me. No. Why is that? Because I ain't going to put in a claim for trailer damage. Well, why not? Well, okay, so let's think this through. You put in a claim for trailer damage. The trailer was dropped. You have no clue who did it. You have no evidence because the trailer was dropped. You weren't there. Okay, well, you could say, well, it's the guy next to you. Well, that guy's going to deny, isn't he? Or you could find out after the fact, whenever you do your post-trip, at the end of the day, like someone I know did. Then who's it going to be on? It's going to be on you. It's going to be on your company. And are you going to turn that in? Or if it's just cosmetic damage, are you going to just run with it and say, well, shoot, trailers get hit all the time. It doesn't look that bad. It's just 3 scratches on the side of the trailer on the driver's side. If you haven't figured it out yet, that's what happened to me. So, yes, there's 3 scratches on the side of my trailer that was brand new. And it was within the first 3 months of me having my authority. Yeah, I'm still a little salty about that. Anyways, point being, I'm not going to put in a claim on that. Why is that? Because the first time you put in a claim, whenever you go for a renewal, what's going to happen to your rates? They're going to go right up. Well, it wasn't your fault. Who cares? Someone's got to pay for it. You think insurance is just going to pocket that and say, well, sorry for you? No, they're not. They're going to be like, all right, well, sorry for you, but here's your premium for the next year, and it's going up because you had a claim. So is it worth it? No, not in my opinion. What's insurance for? Well, in my opinion, it's kind of like health insurance. We have high deductible health insurance. Why is that? Because if I get cancer or my kids or wife get cancer, yeah, I want them covered. If my kids or I have to go to the doctor, do I want insurance coverage? Not really. Why is that? Because my premium is going to be sky high. Well, it's already sky high, kind of, but you get my point. So, I increased my deductible for the truck and trailer. They're two different quote-unquote vehicles. So, if I were to wreck the truck and total both the truck and trailer, I'd be out $10,000. Well, that seems kind of high, doesn't it? In my opinion, no. If I had this stuff paid off, I'd probably honestly not even have comprehensive or collision. And, well, what if someone steals the cargo, the stuff in the trailer? Well, that's separate on the policy, I found out. Yeah, as you can tell at the bottom of the screen, let's see if I can do this right. Right there. Solo authority novice. That means I'm not an expert. I'm still learning a lot of this stuff. So the cargo, that's still $1,000 deductible from what I understand. It's a separate deductible. It does not fall under comprehensive, does not fall under collision. If I didn't have full, quote unquote, full coverage on the truck and trailer, then I'd still have the cargo insurance. It'd still be that $1,000 deductible. It's separate. So to me, that's worth it. How much did I save? That's what you all are wondering, probably. Do you think I saved $1,000? $2,000? $3,000? Nope, I saved $4,000. $4,000 a year. What can I do with $4,000 a year? Well, in this market, for some people, that's the difference between making it or not making it. To me, my margins aren't quite that slim. Again, I have the luxury of the Missouri and Midwest market, which have not dropped nearly as low as the rest of the country. So I'm blessed that I have the Midwest market to work in my favor. Yes, I lost my dedicated run months ago, but I'm still making it. A lot of that goes out to Snorlord because he's helped me find these loads half the time when I'm driving. Like today, he got a killer load, as he would say, that you send your kids to college on. It's a joke. But anyways, he got me load while I was driving. He calls me. He's like, hey, I got a broker on the other line. You want this load? I was like, what is it? And he told me the details. I was like, dude, grab it. So I'm booked up pretty much for the week. But if anyone's got anything else to add, I'll leave this live up for a little bit longer. But otherwise, I'm probably going to convert this into a video. So, point about this whole video is, check your insurance. See if you could save costs there. Maybe you're not like me. I'm not saying that my way's the way. No. If you want to have $1,000 deductible, go right ahead. I think some even have $500 deductibles. Go ahead, but just know your premium is going to be a lot higher than if you just manage your money and just have the higher deductible. For me, I'm not putting in a claim for insurance unless this thing goes in, well, as Cash would say, Mississippi car wash, truck wash, whatever. I'm not putting in a claim for anything else. I mean, it's self-defeating in my opinion. $4,000 a year. Well, I've not had an accident that was my fault in a semi ever. What are the chances that I'm going to have an accident that's my fault in a semi? Well, you could say, well, if you haven't had one yet, more likely you're going to. Or, I mean, you could just go off of history. I haven't had an accident that I've been at fault at. Yes, it could happen. It could happen to anyone. I'm going to take my chances that I'm not going to. I mean, I've had over 1 million miles safe driving. I'm not tooting my own horn. It could happen. But if it does, in my opinion, I'm going to go on the side that says, if it does happen, let's just get the stuff replaced, not the stuff fixed, if that makes sense. If I'm putting in a claim, the truck and trailer are gone as far as they're like totaled. There's no fixing it. So that's what I'm going to do. Insurance to me is almost to prevent worst case scenario. Insurance isn't, in my opinion, is never meant to be able to fix stuff. To me, it's to prevent ultimate bankruptcy, I guess, or as in health insurance. Well, I guess still ultimate bankruptcy, because if you get cancer, no insurance, you're going bankrupt. So that's my theory on insurance. Maybe I'm wrong. Everyone's different. Like I said, if you want the $1,000 or $500 deductible, that's fine. I'm not going to judge you. But in my case, it's $4,000 a year. It's $600 I'm going to get back for the last 2 months of my policy. I think I'll take that. I mean, the way loads are paying, that's basically one load right there that I could do. I could do one less load. I'm not going to do one less load because I need to work as much as I can. But that's my theory. And as far as loads go, one other thing I may or may not include it in the video after I take this down and make the video. But my theory on loads, my truck has, let's see, 626,000 miles. In a down market, am I going to run this New York to California? No. Why not? Well, because I don't go to New York, California. No, not that. But in all seriousness, I don't go to New York, California. No, I'm going to run this thing as short as I can while still having my costs covered. I'm not going to try to be out here and make as much money for $2 a mile or $1.80 a mile the way rates are right now. No, I am going, and I have been doing this, I'm going to drive this truck as little as I can while getting my costs covered and still having some in profit. This year is not about making like the most profit that I can, at least in my opinion. I'm going to just try, make it through this year. And at the end of the year, one of two things are going to happen. Judge me if you want. I don't care. One or two things are going to happen. And it's just going to be purely on basically a risk analysis. Because I could continue this almost indefinitely, I think. But is it worth it? No. Okay, so one or two things. What are the two things? One, I'm going to keep going because I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Two, I'm just going to suspend the authority, sell a truck and trailer, and go back to company. Well, doesn't that make you a failure? No. What's wrong with going company? Where would I go if I went company? Most likely, the way it's going right now, I'd probably go Walmart. They've changed their phone policy. You can now talk on the phone there, and they remove the interior cameras from what I've heard. If you're wanting a company job, go Walmart. Or, and I haven't looked into this, but I'll take Cash's word for it. Go Dot. Dot Foods, or whatever they're called. Dot Transportation. They're a private carrier like Walmart, and supposedly they make $105,000 a year. So, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking for then. Like at the end of the year, I'm going to make that call and go from there. Right now, I'm leaning towards keeping my authority. My goal is and has been within 5 years or by the 5-year mark, growing it to where I don't have to drive if I don't want to, because that was the whole reason of getting my own authority. My own authority was never to get rich. In my opinion, if you want to get rich, make the most money you can in trucking, it's as a company driver. it's never been as an owner-op or a fleet owner. So that's my opinion. But other than that, I don't got anything else to add. If anyone else has anything they want to add or they want to jump in, I have the link. I think I have it pinned. I hope I have it pinned. But I have it in the chat. Here. It's pinned now. Anyone wants to join, go right ahead. If not, I'm going to end it here in just a second. I see one person's in here, besides me on the other phone. The other trucker, James Best, says, word up. Hey, James. It's good to see you in here. I was planning on making this a video if no one joined in here. So we'll see. I might keep it up, or I might chop it up as a video. But you got anything to add, James? I know, aren't you doing just a truck? Like you have someone that you're dispatching, or are you still doing that? Last I heard, that's what you were doing. You had a truck, and then you were dispatching them, and you were making it work. Which, props to you, especially in this market. That's hard. And quite honestly, that, in my opinion, that's hard. Not either way, even in a good market. But if y'all got anything else to add, just shoot it in the chat. If not, here in a couple of minutes, I'm going to end it. And I'll probably end up chopping this up as a video and re-releasing it. If I remember right, last time I did a live, it went private. So until I get it chopped up, I'll change it back to public, and then eventually take it down and make it its own video. Because like I said, this is a video I was wanting to make anyways, because I was shocked. I had no clue $4,000 a year is how much I could save just by raising my deductible. So I'm pretty happy about that. Just one truck, yep, it's a tough market. Amen to that. It's a very tough market. Like I said earlier, I got the blessings of the Midwest market, and it ain't like I'm getting these killer rates. I mean, I'm still getting $2 a mile. But when some places are getting $1.50, $1.40, or, I mean, Snorlord said that there were some that he was trying to dispatch it and he want to pay $1 a mile. I feel for the people that have to deal with that. I found another lane. This is my first week doing the lane. It's not dedicated or anything, but I'm getting right at $2 a mile to go one way, and then $2 a mile to go the other way. But it's nothing right home about it. They're short. It's short miles. But in a manageable market, yeah, I can imagine. I hope you're still doing well. Like this market does suck. Like I said, end of year, I want to do a cost analysis, and it's not going to be really about money. It's going to be more about risk. Is it worth it to keep up the authority, or is it better to suspend it? I would never put anyone in $1 market unless they got 3 going in. That's true. That's true. And that's part of the reason I got Snorlord doing my dispatching right now. For one, I did cancel DAT. I know, James, you were kind of against that. Well, let me explain my theory behind that. I got the 123 load board. Yeah, not all brokers post it, but the ones that do, they've kind of been vetted. I don't know. There's 2 different factoring companies that they have listed on there for brokers, and it shows the credit score and the days to pay. And since I've had the 123, and it's been 2 months now, I've only come across one broker that I thought was sketchy and wasn't booked with. And if I remember, well, that Surge was still on their posting here late last week. DIY posted about that. I don't know. It is kind of messed up, but I haven't seen them. So at least 123 took it down. I'm not sure about that. Like I said, well, getting back to why I canceled it, I like the 123 better because it does have more tools, less scams on there. I haven't seen anyone with just a Gmail email address, which I really like. But and another reason why I canceled it, I use Snorlord. He has the DAT. If I don't see something, quite honestly, I'm not looking most of the time because I have him as most of the time he's backup, but a lot of the times he's primary. If I'm driving, he'll call me and be like, hey, there's a load. Like, as I said earlier, today, I'm driving down the road. Snorlord calls me up. Hey, I got a load for you. Do you want this? It's paying this amount. I was like, that sounds like a really good rate. Again, it was over $2 a mile, which in this market's a good rate. So I'm like, book it. So all I'm out is 5% to pay him, which I still don't understand how he makes a profit off of that. DAT does that too. I don't know. I wasn't as trusting on that. I saw that whenever I had it. They also have those reviews. I don't know. To me, it's kind of iffy. Surge was fine if you factor. Okay, you want to talk about factoring. Here's my theory on factoring and why I don't do it. And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't factor. There's a time and place for it. I don't know. To me, it's not worth it. But I don't know. I don't factor because I don't mind waiting 4, 5, 6, or with some brokers 9 weeks to get paid. I have kind of savings to account for that. So I have cash flow, but it's more than 2 months of cash flow. So by the time it would quote unquote dry up, the brokers are already paying me. So that's why I don't factor. And on top of that, I don't know if I believe the whole theory that, and maybe it's true, I don't have any experience on it, but as far as the brokers coming back for you if you don't get paid, if they don't get paid, I don't see how that could be manageable. Like Surge, if there's millions of dollars that so far they owe to all these carriers and factoring companies, I find it hard to believe that the factoring companies are just going to eat that loss. No, I think, and I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't know everything about factoring. I've never factored, so I could be completely wrong on this. But in my opinion, if the factoring company's not getting paid, they're going to come after the carrier and be like, look, we didn't get paid, so therefore we are going to have to get that money back out of your account, or they're just going to not pay you or take it out of what they're going to pay you for the next load or whatever. Rather, James Best says, rather have loads than tools. Yeah, but like I said, I got a dispatcher for that. And he's done good by me. I mean, it is what it is. I have loads. I got Truck Smarter and the 123 load board. Both of those have, for the most part, reputable brokers on there. Brokers that, so far, I haven't run across one other than Surge last week where I wouldn't trust booking a load from. How many miles? It ain't long miles. I ain't going to lie about that. Most of my runs are 300, 400 miles. I think the one that Snorlord booked for me, it was like 420. I mean, I don't run long miles. And why is that? I don't run long miles because I want to protect the equipment. In my theory, this engine's going to blow eventually. The truck's going to need work done to it. Parts are going to fail. By running less miles, and when I say less miles, it's not like I'm running inner city all the time, but by running less miles and I don't idle the truck, to me, I'm pushing like an engine overhaul, emission issues down the road. I'd rather push it down the road and then run the miles whenever the rates are back at $2.50 or $3 a mile than when they're at $2 a mile. We had 3,000 miles on $2.05 all miles. That's good. That's really good in this market. out of Washington. Yeah, I don't go to the Northwest. One other reason why I started this company is I wanted more home time, which is counterintuitive because I used to be a local driver. I used to be an LTL driver. I was home every day but worked overnight. Well, you might be saying that doesn't make any sense. Well, the whole reason I did it is whenever I was home after a day doing road at FedEx, I was dead tired. I was home during the day, but I wasn't home during the day, if that makes sense. I was not mentally home. Whenever I'm home now, other than when I got to do paperwork, I'm home. I'm rested. Like, basically local on this. Like, this lane that I've developed, just like I had on the dedicated, granted, this ain't dedicated. Me and Snorlord are finding runs where I'm literally back at the house every day. So I'm essentially local without not being local. Factoring eats it, period. You're not the first to say that. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not an expert on factoring. But the other reason why I don't factor is, and this would be a large hurdle for me to get over, I don't want to pay anyone 2%. Yeah, 2% ain't much. On $1,000 load, that's $20. That's not much. Well, yes and no. To me, $20 on $1,000 load is a lot. But like I said, it's case by case. If you factor, that's fine. I'm not judging anyone that factors, but I don't want to give 2% when I don't have any problem waiting. Like I said months ago, whenever I had that dedicated run, I think I was up to 30 or 35,000 on invoicing that's due to be paid. I still made it. I'm fine. So to me, I don't quite understand the whole factoring. You pay 5% to find the load, but not guarantee pay at 2%. I see that argument, but at the same time, it's not every load. Snorlord looks for loads on my behalf, but so basically we got to work this way. During the day, he, like, from 8 to 5 or 8 to 4, something like that, he's looking for the loads. If he finds it during the day, then yes, it's 5% out of that load. I look during the evening or overnight. If I find a load, I just text him, hey, I booked this load. Or if he's busy during the day, which he's got another company, like part of Like Trucking, he is also has duties that he has to do there. So sometimes he is busy. For the most part, no, he's there during the day 100%. But there's stuff that comes up. I mean, shoot, I can understand that. And when it does, he lets me know, and then I book the loads. But for the most part, yes, it's 5%, but it's not really that much because for the most part, I still book most of the loads. Like I said, I don't know how Snorlord makes it work, but I really am appreciative that he does. But to me, 5% to find a load when I'm driving is worth more than 2% guaranteed. When I've had only two times, and I don't know if factoring would have solved this, where I didn't quote unquote get paid. One of the times it was XPO, I didn't get paid my delay, and I still didn't get paid my delay. I filed on their bond, but because it was a Missouri to Missouri load, for some reason the bond company doesn't do anything with intrastate loads, I found out. The one other time, it was through, I ain't going to say the brokerage, but another broker. And I filed on the bond, immediately got paid. So to me, I've been guaranteed my money. Yeah, I know there's a chance one of these could go bankrupt and then I got to file on the bond. To me, that's the risk that I'm willing to take. Book your own loads. For the most part, I do. But like I said, that 5% is kind of a small amount to have someone out there looking for loads while you're driving. I mean, and plus, at 5%, also, I'll even if I'm available to look for loads, it's just nice not to have to look for loads continually. Like, I was going crazy looking through the load boards all the time when I was stopped. Now, I have Snorlord, I don't have to. But I still have these contacts at brokers, and for the most part, I'm able to find loads from brokers I've worked with in the past because I'm trying to set up a lane going back and forth. Right now, I got a broker that goes one way and then a broker that's coming back. But they don't have loads all the time or whatever. But for the most part, that's my first step before I even get to Snorley. Like me and him got an understanding like this. I'm trying to service specific brokers to develop relationships so that I could get back off the load boards. That's also part of the reason I canceled the DAT, because at the time I had the dedicated run and it stayed in Missouri. Okay. Won't have to look to fix it at 400 load. Won't have to loot to fix it at $400 load after fuel. 600, not 400. Won't have to look to fix it at 400 load after fuel. I'm not understanding. Let's see. You'll spend more money on being a bill collector, but then you would finding your own load. Yeah, I understand that argument. Like I said, anyone who wants to factor, that's fine. I'm not saying that my way's the best way. I'm never too busy for guys at dispatch. No, I understand that. But I see someone down there. Here, I'll get to you here in a second. I just got two more from James Best. And then, you're James Best in the comments. Here, I'll finish these two and then I'll throw you in. Yeah, but you're not in the truck. Like today, I was driving all day. I didn't have time to look. And Snorlord found one that was a lot better than what I could have found. Do I have intrastate authority? Yes. But so far, currently, I only have it in Missouri. I am going to get it in other places, but I just haven't had the need for it yet. The next place I'd get it is Iowa, because that's one of the areas I go to a lot, but they require a safety course, and I just haven't taken the time to do it. Those lanes tend to fall apart. Relationships with brokers, they need to find direct customer. That's my ultimate goal, and I am trying to work with some others on developing that, but it's hard to find direct customer when you're just a one truck carrier. I've been trying, but it's just not worked. And here, I'll throw you in. Let's see.
Let me make sure this is working.
You're in. Hey, James. Oh, you're muted.
Hold on. There we go. Maybe that's better.
Yeah.
That better?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. Let me see if I can back out of here. All right. Yeah, too much typey.
No, you're good. You're good.
You good now? All right. Yeah. Yeah. The building relationship with brokers, to me, I mean, like when you first start, with your authority, you want to start, because it's difficult, because you can't work with everybody. So it makes sense as a new person out here that you try to build a relationship with a broker. But once you're out here a while, that broker, a lot of things happen when you build a relationship with brokers, because they're building a relationship with you also, okay? Meaning they will use you as much as you use them. And if you think you're going to get a good load out of this guy because, we're good together, trust me. Because if he needs to screw somebody over, who do you think he's going to screw over? Somebody that he's got a relationship with, that they think, hey, I'm going to get the best load from this guy. It's just business. It's just business.
I understand.
So you could be manipulated by these relationship with these brokers by no difference that you're trying to manipulate them by thinking that you're getting a better rate than he's going to get from somebody else. Because the reality is that relationship is usually a one-way street every time. Every load is a one-way street.
Yes.
Somebody is selling bullshit and someone is buying bullshit. That's just, it's at every load. You know, to put all your eggs in relationship with brokers, yeah. Listen, the reality is, I mean, unless you just stay in the Midwest, and sooner or later you're going to find that the Midwest, there's better loads out there, because I was a Midwest guy. That's all I ever did was the Midwest. But when times are tough like this, 400-mile loads for $2 a mile, that's shit. That's shit money. Because when the market goes low, you have to realize that you have to do more miles in order to get the money. You have to bring the cost per mile goes down the more miles you run. And what, $800 a day, and you throw the fuel out of it, and then of course the 5% you're paying somebody doing, so the 2% a factor, that makes no sense. But it just is not very effective. Now I understand keep the miles low on the truck, yes, the tires and all that other stuff, but when you're doing 400-mile runs, you're loading and unloading every day. That's wear and tear on the truck. Driving in the cities, wear and tear on the truck. That wear and tear is substantial compared to running an 8-hour day on cruise control. Obviously, that's easier on the truck than the hard miles on the truck. Running local or running in the city all the time. I mean, you have to agree with that.
No, I agree.
Of course, your fuel economy will also get worse. You know, your fuel economy will get worse doing those shorties. And listen, I was a big proponent of shorties, but that's when it was paying $3 a mile to do shorties. But you're getting the same amount of money doing shorties as you would doing long loads. That's where you're goofing up. You're doing. That's where you're goofing up, because that $2 a mile, you could do long runs for $2 a mile. Why are we doing 400-mile runs for $2 a mile? You're wasting your day. You know, you're wasting the days that you were out here. I don't know, are you home every weekend?
I've been home about every day doing what I'm doing.
You're doing every day? Yeah. How are you doing every day doing 400-mile runs?
Because I got a lane developed.
So 400, are you doing like out and back 400-mile total? So you're doing 200 miles there, 200 miles back?
I go deliver a load, pick up a load, come back, I'm able to take a 10 at the house and then deliver it next day.
So it's every other day you're getting home?
No, I'm getting home every day. Like right now, I'm waiting to get loaded, and then after I get loaded, I'm going to take a 10 at my house, and then I deliver this the next day.
Yeah. And where do you deliver it the next day?
Where I deliver it the next day, I deliver there.
But don't you have to reload and then go back to the house?
Yeah, and I'm able to do that.
Because 400 miles, I mean, let's just throw it 8 hours, then 2 hours getting loaded, 2 hours, okay, then you're not, and then let's say you're running some, I don't know how that's, you're doing 400 miles, then getting a reset or getting 10 off at the house every day, but I suppose if that's the lane you want, obviously there's more potential money not being home every day.
Yes. And
that's yeah.
If I'm not home, if I'm not going to be home, I want to make good money not being home. I don't want
You have to capitalize on it, because trucking is time consuming. Yes. But when you're home 10 hours a day and you're sitting in 2 hours in the dock, and you're obviously your lane is very tight, I don't see how you can't find these loads on your own. I mean, I'm not trying to take away from using a dispatcher, but we have to become somewhat multitaskers out here when we're driving. I mean, we really have to be. Yeah. I mean, you know what area you're running. That could easily be put in the DAT board. It refreshes however many times you touch it. It refreshes. The number of loads that you're looking at is so minimal that it's not like you got to call 20 brokers, because there ain't 20 loads to call on. But because where the tight circle that you're rolling on, they're not there. You know, there's only going to be one or two. Know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but some of these loads go so fast that if I don't have a dispatcher and I'm driving, say I'm driving 2 or 3 hours at a time, they can.
But it's the same broker doing it. You ain't got the broker that's, that you're on that goddamn load or was just on it yesterday. I mean, see, this is the relationship with the broker. You've got a relationship with the broker, and yet this guy ain't working with you. I mean, where'd that relationship go?
They don't have they don't have loads every single day sometimes. Sometimes they're sporadic, sometimes they do have it every day.
Yeah.
And plus,
I don't know. I think that agent would be calling you as soon as he gets one just to see where you're at. Unless they're trying to sell it for a lower price to somebody else. And that's what they'll do. Because it's a money's game out here. It's tough on everybody. C.H. Robinson's laying people off. Uber is shutting down offices. I mean, it's hurting everybody. So to think that a relationship with an agent is going to give you more money, you're 100% wrong. Because they're all suffering. They're all suffering. Now, have you talked to the customers? I mean, you're getting loaded at the joint. Yeah, but yeah. Like, you're getting loaded. What are you doing while you're getting loaded?
While I'm getting loaded, I'm just waiting. So, one of the other reasons why I use the same broker, and I'm not bound by these brokers. Like, the one that Snorlord got me, it's a whole different broker. I had to do a carrier packet on it. That's fine.
Yeah, because that'll happen. Because that's where the relationship falls. Because the agent, dude, I've been running the same loads out of this area for 4 years. The reality is, and now granted, okay, well, James, you're not in the truck, so you don't know nothing. The fact of the matter is I know enough. Because it's not like I've never been in the goddamn truck. But these loads will fall to a different broker every other week, it seems like. So they're just looking for the cheapest guy. I mean, that load coming out of Clinton, I mean, that thing I was making $1,500. Then it went down to, 14, 13, 11, 9. And it's new brokers every time. And by the time you think you've got a broker that you can work with, they're trying to lowball you. Why? Because somebody else has that load and they just sold it for $50 or $100 less than you did. So when that starts happening, then they say, well, people are taking it, so we're selling it for $650 now because people are taking it. Happens every day. That relationship to that broker means nothing. What you need to do is take the 2 hours that you have down while you're getting loaded, unloaded, find out who people are. And if it's a consistent customer, especially you're getting home every day, those two work very, very well together because you are getting home every day. That definitely would be a situation where I'd start buying pizza. I'd start talking to fucking people in the office, whoever you're talking to, whoever's loading you, and start make communication and make that customer, your business partner, your relationship. Don't build relationships with brokers, not with agents. They're just middlemen. They're not there for your benefit, brother.
No, I understand that completely. But at the same time, by having a relationship with a broker, you know what to expect from that broker. I mean,
nothing. That's what you expect out of.
No, I think you misunderstand what I mean.
No. Oh, okay.
What to expect from the broker, you can kind of get a feel for, are they going to pay detention, are they going to pay accessorials or not? Because a lot of brokers I've dealt with in the past, they won't pay detention. They don't care how long you sit at a dock.
Well, that's something you have to talk to them while you're negotiating. Okay, especially if it's a new broker, you need to be asking, okay, do you have a record of detention that's being paid on this? How long have you had this account? How often have you had to pay detention? And if so, how many hours are they detained? And then you start asking, okay, what's your rate for detention? What's a process of getting detention? What do you need? In and out times on the bills? Are you tracking it? What do you need from me to get my detention? And how long is it going to take me to get an updated Raycon with detention? All this needs to be done on the phone before detention is even a question, right? You don't go chasing the broker down trying to get detention and you have no idea what it pays or how to get it paid. This shit should have been done on the phone. See, we're so quick, and I'm not saying that you're that guy, but I'm just going to speak from experience. That there are sometimes we get so excited that we booked a load that we're not asking the questions that we need, or that we're in such a big hurry to call the next one, call the next one, call the next one, that we're really not even taking care of business while we're talking to the guy that's got the load that we want. Now, in that frame of mind, how do you think that broker thinks of you when you're just excited to book the load that you don't even know the commodity? You don't know if you're going to get detained. You don't know if you do get detained, how long it's going to get detained. What do you think a broker thinks of you when you don't ask those questions?
Well, for
what he's thinking, I'll tell you. He's thinking, okay, the load that he's on now, did he ask for detention? How long it takes to get detention? How often they pay detention? Because if he's booking this for a 1 o'clock, and he's got a 10 o'clock appointment or an 11 o'clock appointment, well, that's 2 hours unload time. I mean, is he going to get detained there? Because he didn't even ask about detention. So how close is he booking these loads together? Is he even be able to make my pickup? Well, all of this goes in the mind when you're booking loads.
No, I understand that, and that's part of the reason part of the reason why I try to stay in the Midwest is because most of these customers, I might have dealt with them on different brokers, but I know like how long, like the shipper I'm at right now, I've been coming here ever since I started my authority almost 3 years ago. I know how long it's going to take. I know for the most part I'm going to get detention here, and that's part of the reason why I prefer to book this load on a broker that I've worked with in the past, because I know which ones I've worked with in the past will pay the detention and which ones won't. And I
ain't never had, unless it's screwed up paperwork, I have never had a broker not pay detention.
I've had two.
I've never.
One of them was XPO.
I've never had a problem with XPO.
I did.
Never had a problem with getting detention from XPO. Now, JB Hunt, they're complicated because they want you to invoice detention. But you have to call and harass them to get an updated rate con. They're saying, well, I got an updated rate con before. Well, that person he could lose his job because he's not supposed to give out updated rate cons. But if you're on a long enough phone call with these guys, they'll get you an updated rate con. So now what he's saying is that now he could be fired. So it's all a scam. It's all a scam. JB Hunt's the absolute worst to work with, period. Absolute worst.
Yeah, I haven't.
They're horrible.
Load, I believe, all year. So
yeah, JB Hunt's horrible to work with.
In the past, I haven't had a problem with them. They used to, and this is speaking last year, but last year I was getting paid like 10, 15 days after delivery. But I don't know how they are this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're talking the bigger joints, C.H. Robinson, you know, the big hitters. You know them. They're going to be easy, quick pay. I mean, where you can wait on their money. Now, you don't have to factor every load, right? You don't have to factor every load when you factor. But it's wise, right? Because now you running these 2 loads a day or once a day, or how many loads you got to deal with. Maybe you're not finding yourself in a position where you got to call and start being on top of these guys to get you your pay. Like, where's the money? Did the bill ladings come in okay? Or, now you're talking to accounts payable. You're not talking to the broker anymore. Now it turns into a big cluster, which I will honestly say, factoring doesn't take care of all of that as much as it's sold out here on YouTube, that these guys are your bill collectors. These guys do everything for you. No, they don't. No, they don't. Because if it gets to a 45-day where they haven't paid, they fall on to you to figure out why are these guys not paying. So you're still the bill collector. Yeah. You're still the bill collector. But that's like one in a very few that you have a problem with, right? Because something didn't happen. You didn't get page 2 when it said page 1 of 2, and you didn't get page 2, or maybe bill lading was a little blurry, or they wanted a gate pass, or they wanted this, or they wanted that. And that's something that's easily fixable, right? Easily fixable. But we have this idea that factoring is easy peasy, and it doesn't cover everything. It doesn't do everything. But it's a fact that, even right now, I've got probably 10 loads that I'm still waiting to get paid on. Now I'm not waiting to get paid because I factor, so they're paid. But I still have to look to see, okay, where are you at? How long have we been out here before you've paid? And when do we get into that 45-day mark, right? So I still have to look at it, but I don't have to so much keep track of it. I don't have to make phone calls to get paid in a 30-day or 45-day. But then when you're at 45 days, a lot of things can happen in 45 days. You know, the agent that you had is gone or whatever, and then this load gets fucking lost for whatever reason. It's just, I don't know. I'd rather not have to be a bill collector and a driver. I'd rather pay the 2%, not be a bill collector, and then book my own loads and gain 3%. I mean, I agree. It's nice to have somebody looking at the load board for you. I've had Jeff maybe pull me out of like 2 patches or 2 times or something that I needed a little help, you know, because it does get stir crazy out here, you know. Shit starts falling apart, it falls apart quick. And it's nice to have that second set of eyes. So I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm not saying get rid of dispatching, because dispatching is a very good tool. It absolutely is a good tool. But I don't know. I'd like to see you get those 2 as customers and get rid of the broker altogether. Because imagine what the broker's taking.
Oh, I agree.
Imagine what that brokerage is taking.
That's ultimately my goal. But
yeah,
like I said, I'm a one-truck carrier right now. There isn't a whole lot I can give a customer that are brokers.
Well, let's say you talk to, because obviously they don't have very many of them. It's not like they got 10 a day, right? So they are a small shipper, right? They are a small shipper.
One of them has 6 a day, and the best I could do for them is 1 every other day.
So you got one has 6 a day?
3 a day.
3 a day?
Every 2 days, and I can only do 1 every 2 days, basically every other day.
Yeah. Have you thought about getting a brokerage?
So it gets complicated.
I'm telling you, brokerage is not complicated.
No, the part of getting a brokerage is not complicated. The complication comes if the broker that you are booking loads with figures out that you have a brokerage and they're worried you're going double broker. Because I know some carriers that have a brokerage.
One carrier, XPO will do that.
Yeah, there's certain brokers
XPO will do that.
Yeah. To book a load if you have a brokerage.
Well, how about you give me the information? I'll make them my customer. I'll give you 100% of whatever I negotiate for a rate. I'll sell the other 5 loads for whatever I want to sell them for, and then you get all the pickings.
Yeah.
That way you don't. How about that?
I understand that.
I'll give you 100%. So if they're paying you $2 a mile, but they're really getting $4 a mile, I'll give you $4 a mile for any load you want to take.
I understand that. That's the whole purpose behind the company that I've started. Is I get your argument against relationships. I think there's still some value in relationships, even if the broker is trying to rake you over the coals and you're trying to rake the broker over the coals. They know what to expect. They can see what your history is with them. They still know, even if I take it dirt cheap sometimes, which every carrier, we have to take some loads dirt cheap, they still see that I'm going to do that load as well as if I take it for like a home run. And as far as using a dispatcher, Coward said it earlier, I don't use a dispatcher. I don't for every single load. The vast majority of my loads, I book myself. But for the ones whenever I'm working during the day, driving, I'm not going to look at a load board while I'm driving. I prefer to outsource that. So if
and it's not a bad decision. It's not a bad decision, especially if you're doing shorties and you're always up in traffic. I agree 100%. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
No question. Yeah.
And as far as fuel economy, I don't know if you watched my video. It's dated now, but whenever I had the dedicated run, I was getting 10 miles per gallon. The short ones.
That pen to paper. That pen to paper, is that what your dash tells you?
No, my dash doesn't tell me anything. My dash literally tells me what my voltage. It has a trip meter and my odometer. It doesn't tell me anything. This is
so every time you get filled up, you're getting 10 miles to the gallon.
Whenever I had the dedicated run, because of the improvements I've made to the truck, plus that dedicated run, is light, and that's also one of the runs I have is even lighter than the dedicated run I had. So one way I'm getting 10 miles per gallon. I'm guessing because this, like I said earlier, this was the first week I've been trying to service these brokers, their customers, every time I can. Like one way I'm getting 10 miles per gallon, the other way I'm probably getting 7 or 8.
That ain't bad.
Yeah,
that ain't bad. I mean, you're 9 average, worst case.
Yeah.
That ain't nothing to scoff at. That's good fuel economy. Yeah, that's real good.
That's in a Freightliner, 2015 Freightliner with the ISX in it. That ain't even with the Detroit. And the Detroits are supposed to get better. So
did you get that Fleet Guard trailer or the filter rather, the Fleet filter?
Fleet filter. I don't even know what that is.
It's air filter. Fleet air filter.
Oh, I just got whatever. The air filter for the truck is actually a Freightliner air filter, and I just get it from the dealership.
Is it a paper one?
Yeah, I believe so.
If I were you, I mean, they're expensive, $400 or $500. But look at that Fleet. Get that Fleet. They are reusable, yes. So what you do is like every 20,000 miles, whatever, you wash it off because it's foam. But it's like a billet aluminum case, I guess. It's got like, I don't know what you call it, diamond grate or whatever that the foam goes on. But it's like a K&N filter, but it's got the filter oil you put on it. Yeah. But I'm telling you, yeah, that gets you. I can almost guarantee you that thing giving you almost another mile per gallon. I would almost guarantee it.
I honestly haven't looked into different fuel filters. Hey, Fate.
Yeah. They're old filter, or the air filter, not fuel.
Yeah,
air filter.
Filter. I know in the cars they do give you better fuel economy than this K&N.
Because that paper gets filthy so fast.
Yeah, I didn't know they actually made the truck, to be honest. Like I said.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They're pricey, but considering what you're paying for that paper filter, I mean, and then you throw in the fuel economy of it, it pays itself off pretty quickly. Yeah, pretty quickly. Because we gained a mile out of our truck.
Okay. They're Fleet Guard, or what? Is that what you said?
It's a Fleet filter, Fleet air filter. They don't have a very big website, so if you see it and it just looks like they got a couple handful of filters, you're in the right spot. Because it's just filters. They don't have there's not a whole lot to choose from.
Is that the website? Can you see that?
Yeah, I believe it is. Scroll down, let me see a filter. Can you show me a filter?
Well, they got.
Because it's like a metal.
They got these.
Yep. But, those are oil filters.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think.
I'm just on.
Yeah. Do Fleet air filter. It's a Fleet. I don't think it's Fleet Guard. I just want to say it's Fleet filter.
Fleet filter.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are pricey, but I'm thinking
if it's reusable, it could be worth it. I know those K&Ns are worth
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, and you're getting instant fuel economy as soon as you put it in. You'll start hearing the whistle of the turbo because the turbo's just easily free balling at this point. You know, you definitely. It's not like you're going to be burning rubber or any of that nonsense, but it's not. It's not like a stage 2 or stage 3 or it's just air. Yeah. But it's definitely worth it. We've been running it for 20,000 some thousand miles on our truck now, and you could definitely tell a difference on it for sure.
Oh, this ain't even the same website. It's not a very big website. It's really not a very big website. This kind of looks
if you see. Yeah, it does, because they don't have a lot to offer. They've got filters, they've got replacement sponges, and a wrap, for each model. And so you can call them and let them know what engine you got and all that stuff, and then they'll send you the right filter. But it is convenient. It's nice.
I can see how those could be a lot better. Like I said, I never
absolutely.
the air filters. I've just been putting on what the OEM has.
Yeah. And what are you spending on that?
What's that?
What's an OEM running? What's an OEM filter running you?
I think it's like, I don't know how much it is per part. I know I spend about $400 or $500 per oil change. But that's
yeah, 4 or 5 is about average, but they're probably changing the filter about every other time. I'm guessing they blow it out the first time.
Well,
Second time they might replace it.
I do my own PMs.
Oh, you do your own PMs and it's costing you $500?
$400 or $500, yeah.
Yeah, then you're definitely at $100 for that filter then. Yeah, if you're changing that filter every time.
I change the filters each time I do a oil change.
Yeah, then you are definitely in $100 or better for sure. Yeah, because it's $400 just for an oil change. I mean, and that's for me going to a shop.
Yeah, I don't.
$400. Yeah, you're paying $500 doing it yourself. Yeah.
There's one shop.
Yeah, you're
oil, but they overcharge for the oil.
Listen. You really gotta watch them, right? I like Speedco because Speedco makes you watch them torque the oil pan bolt. So you have that, but dude, you have to do an extreme post-trip, pre-trip after you get an oil change because, dude, I found like oil caps off. I found wrenches hanging out on the engine. I'm telling you, it's. You really have to pay attention anytime you get anything done. But oil change is oil change. I mean, that's why you pull it off the lot or you pull it in front out of the fucking bay and you check the oil, make sure there's oil in it. I mean, you're there watching him torque it. You know, that's the majority of the problem. And sometimes that's not torqued or even put on, you know. But yeah, you gotta pre-trip the hell out of anything at any time they do anything to your truck because I found shit, you know.
Yeah, if I ever, other than the shop I have local to me, anytime that they're doing work on stuff, I'm watching them. Like especially if I'm at.
Oh, you got to. Yeah. See, that's what's nice about is like Speedco and stuff. You could stand out there and watch them. I mean, because it's right there in the bay, you know. Loves is good about it too. Loves will let you hang out. TA doesn't care much for it. They don't like it. But that's how that's how you learn, right? You learn, especially when they're doing any type of diagnostics or shit like that. But yeah, that's where you kind of fucking learn. And the fact that, you know, they're being supervised. You may not know what you're looking at, but that mechanic don't know, you know. That mechanic don't know you don't know nothing. Yeah, so he'll step up his game a little bit better.
The only oil change I've had done at a shop other than a local shop is for the gear oil in the differentials.
Yeah, that's messy shit anyway.
I had someone else do it, but I was still out there watching him. And in all honesty, the amount of gear oil he used up, like he flushed it out and he was kind of learning, but there were 2 other guys watching him, and I was watching him, so I knew it was full of oil. Like I even checked it before he sealed it. And I mean, shoot, I think I got a better deal on that than if I would have done it myself. Plus, I didn't get messy. Yeah.
And you know, and that stuff needs to be done every 250,000 miles, and you know, that's not something that, you know, that lube is. I'd rather let somebody else crawl up under there than me. You know, trying to mess with gear lube. But at least you can grab a sample of it and, you know, do all that nonsense and get a oil sample back that means absolutely nothing to you. So, yeah. I mean, unless they're finding a lot of metal shavings or something on there. But do you have axle temperatures?
No, I don't. Not in my truck. My truck is very minimal. I mean, the only extra thing it has is an air suspension gauge, and I had that switched out for a right way scale.
Yeah, that's what I did as well, and that's so. I mean, that's so bouncy. You know, it's one of those that if you're that close, you really have to scale it anyway. But you know, the trailer one is on the money every time on the money, but that in cab. Ooh, that's a tough one to put money on, you know, because it says one thing and it's totally different. You try to recalibrate it, and you're kind of chasing good after bad, and yeah, it's a tough one.
I haven't had an issue with the dash, the one in the truck. I haven't got one
Yeah.
for the trailer yet, but I don't run heavy very much. I told myself if I run consistently heavy, I am going to get one for the trailer, but so far I haven't.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
One of the customers that I use, they have a scale, and every time I go through there, I've checked the one in cab, and at least mine, it's accurate. I mean,
Is it?
the last time I went there, it said my drives was like right under 30,000, and I looked at the gauge, and it was right under 30,000.
Did you get the digital one, or did you get the? Because I don't think it's Rightway doesn't make a digital in-dash. I don't think. There's another company out there that does a digital one.
They started to, but I got the analog one.
Yeah. The analog one, I don't know if I'm a big fan of in-dash, because it depends on what angle you're looking at it, and you know, it's because it's such a small dial, and the numbers are fine, the needle's kind of thick, and it's just too wishy-washy for me.
Yeah,
I don't
to get it scaled for sure. If it's close,
yeah.
But
yeah.
It saves in those where you're like, well.
Yeah, you always want as much as you want on the drives anyway, yes. You know. And when you're heavy, then I try to put as much as I can on the trailer if I know I'm going to be maxed out. And then I could see, okay, where are my drives at? And then for the most part, I could decide then, okay, do I need to scale this out or not scale it out? Because I got all the faith in the world of that trailer one, all the faith in the world. So if I could set that up at 33 and I'm still, or 33.5, and I'm still good on my cab gauge, then I'm rolling. I'm going to roll.
Yeah. I disagree with that a little bit, but it might just be because of the setup I have on my equipment. I prefer to have more on the trailer than the truck, because the further up my tandems are, the better fuel economy I get, because I have the side skirts.
Well, yeah. I mean, you want to carry a load, you don't want to drag a load. So you don't want all that much weight on the trailer, because you want the weight on the drives, and then the trailer's just doing what the trailer does. But because then you're pulling a load, you're carrying a load versus dragging a load. So, I mean, you've seen it now. It's drastic, but you've seen it at the truck or at drop and hook joints where they've got a trailer standing up. It's because it's all on the fucking rear, and then it comes off of the. And see, that's what it's doing to your truck. So your drives aren't going to get any traction because you're not carrying the load. The truck is gonna ride so much better if it's carrying the load versus dragging a load. But I guess everyone does it different.
Yeah,
each his own.
Of a difference. Most of mine, they're loaded so good that it's not drastic between the trailer and the truck.
Yeah. If that's the case, then if you like heavy on the trailer, then the right way would be the ticket, because then you could put a substantial amount of weight on that trailer, for sure. Yeah. See, I don't move my fifth wheel because I can't, because the reality is I've got a 13.2 steer, and I don't care if I'm hauling 20,000 pounds. I'm always so close to 13,000 on the steers anyway, just naturally. And I can't, and I'm not like, I don't have my trailer kissing the sleeper. I mean, I've got substantial space back there, but my truck is so heavy that I'm always 13.2. Like if I'm heavy, if I'm fully loaded, I'm 13.128 or 13.150 or something on the steers. Always heavy on steers.
Yeah,
always.
I moved my fifth wheel up all the way again for fuel economy, and I haven't had much of an issue. But my front axle is rated up to 13.25, and I've always been right under that if I'm at max weight.
Yeah, see, I'm that way, and I've got my fifth wheel right where it should be, in between the two drives. Yeah, so well, I couldn't move mine anyway.
If I had mine all the way back, I'd be closer to like just under 13. I think it's
Yeah.
like $400 or £500 swing.
Yeah.
But
And then trying to move it one chunk on a fifth wheel. Yeah. Good luck. Huh.
yeah,
Jesus.
exactly.
Yeah, I did that with Schneider hauling dog food. I'm telling you. I just threw the chains away. I couldn't do anything. I mean, it would just go all the way forward or all the way back. And then, by the time you got it to stop midway, you're pretty much where you started anyway. So it's like piss on it.
Well,
It is what it is.
Is it because it gets stuck? Because I know mine, if I don't move it a lot, like if I try to move my fifth wheel now after it's been up so much for so long, it'd take forever to move. But I got...
That's probably where mine's at, because we don't move it every day. I mean, hell, I ain't moved the damn thing in... I've moved my fifth wheel once since I've owned it.
Yeah.
I just, once it's set now where it's at, it doesn't need to be anywhere else.
Yeah, that's...
Because I'm always heavy. Yeah, I'm always heavy on the steers anyway. But never over on the steers.
Yeah, I know my...
But I still have a gaping gap in between the trailer and the tractor, though.
Oh, mine...
I've got a good gap.
But I got... what do they call those? Those side things that go on the back of the cab. They go pretty far towards the trailer. They're like, I got a pretty small gap. Whereas if I have it,
so when you're in there doing airlines, you're like doing it with just your arm.
Yeah.
Holy Jesus! I could put my whole body in. I mean, I got more than enough room. I mean, I just got a shit ton of room in between the tractor and the trailer.
Yeah,
but I don't know what my wheelbase is. I never measured my wheelbase. So I don't even know what it is. Yeah. And I don't know. I've never seen anywhere on the truck where it does wheelbase. I think you physically have to measure it. I don't think it's anywhere.
Well, according to mine,
there.
Into the model number, mine's supposed to be 128. But that's how Freightliner does it anyways.
Yeah, I have no idea what mine is. And I've never took the time. I know this, that if I'm backed into a door, I'm probably a foot farther out than any other T680, at least a foot farther out.
I'm normally closer to the dock than most other guys, and I think it's just because I got my fifth wheel slid up so far.
Yeah, mine's just right in between the two drives. Just, I mean, normal place to put it, Nothing crazy. Not all the way back, not all the way up. It's kind of a happy medium in the middle. But
I think that's probably honestly better for tire life. But for fuel economy, you want that gap as narrow as it can get.
Yeah, for aerodynamics. Yeah, and that's probably why you're getting 10 out of an ISX.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a Freightliner too, though, so you're a little more aerodynamic than a 680 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. As aerodynamic as a 680 looks, it is not aerodynamic. It is, in my opinion, I don't think it's aerodynamic at all. Because they've never, I don't know if any, maybe with a PACCAR engine, maybe a 680 gets good fuel economy, but not with an ISX. The fact that you're getting 10 miles out of an ISX is pretty impressive, honestly.
Well, I don't go fast, and a lot of it has to do with
the
mechanics I've done.
What gears you got in that?
What gears?
Yeah.
I think it was like 248, if I remember right.
248?
Yeah.
So, and you got a 10-speed?
Yeah, 10-speed manual.
So, how fast you going in 10th gear then? I mean, you got to be bogging down with 240, because I got 264s, and I got the 10-speed. And I'm running 1260 RPM at 70. 1260 RPM at 70 mile an hour.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's 264s.
If I did
so you've got a taller one, you got a taller one at 248.
If I was doing 70, it's right around 1500.
All right, so I'm gonna say you're probably at a 348, not a 2.
Well, that's not unless they put the wrong tag in the truck. It's 248.
How do you climb hills?
Very slowly.
All right. Well,
unless I hit it, like
Because you should.
Whenever I hit a tall hill, I'll get it up to 70, 75 miles an hour. And then normally, like, we don't got big hills here in Missouri, so I can climb the hills and I don't have to downshift. Now, if I keep it at 60, 65, or 55, yeah, I'm downshifting.
But can you gain back that speed?
Yeah, once I get on the flat ground, yeah.
Well, no, obviously, but can you like, I guess
No,
lower
the hill.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what gear that would, because I like I said, I'm at 264. So if I'm at 26 or 2650, 20 or whatever the hell I said it was, at RPM, 2260, I think. But if you're at 5,000, that's like 355. If you're at 5,000 RPM at 70, you're
Kind of what I wondered, but that's what the tag says in the truck. Like I said, maybe they got the wrong tag in the truck.
But you should be climbing hills like nobody's business with that, though. If it was a 3, right?
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
lose speed on hills. That's why I try to hit those hills at 70.
Yeah.
Now,
See, I can't climb a hill to save my ass. I mean, I can walk faster. Yeah, the hills, I die on hills, but on interstate, man, things just purrs. Yeah. Yeah, it purrs on the interstate, which, mine won't get, no, it's an automated, but I won't even shift into 10th gear until I'm 62 or better. It won't even shift into 10th gear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think if mine was automated, it would be kicking it out at 10th, but by the time normally I have to get out of 10th gear about 55 miles an hour if I'm going up.
Okay.
Because if I don't, it starts bogging it down about 50.
Yeah, because if I'm at 55, if I get a long stretch and I can't get it up to 62, and I'm going 55, I'm in 9th gear the entire time. I won't touch 10th at all.
Yeah.
And if I manually put it in 10, it'll just kick back down to 9. It just ain't gonna hold it. Yeah, it won't hold it. Yeah. I don't know, dude, because you should be like interstate cruising with 248s, because you're taller than I am in gear, so that would make sense on the 10 miles to the gallon, but I don't know. I wouldn't think you'd be screaming that hard going 70. And see, that's where Nevada's truck was screaming at 5,000 RPMs. But he's got 355 rear ends at 5,000 RPM at 70. And I want to say he's 10 speed. I don't think he's 12. I could be wrong. I want to say he's 10. Yeah, and he's screaming at 5,000 RPM at 70 mile an hour.
Yeah.
And that's just, Jesus, I don't think these Cummonses are rated for 5,000 RPM all day long. I mean, god dang, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, you figure if one revolution, if like an engine rebuild is on revolutions, man alive, you're really eating up those revolutions at 5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many miles you got on that truck now?
It's got 626,000 basically.
Oh, you're good. You getting oil samples and everything done on it?
Yeah.
Attaboy. Who do you use for oil samples?
What is it? I forget what the company is. What companies that do oil samples again?
I used AMSOIL first. Yeah, then there's Blackstone out of Indianapolis.
Blackstone. That's who it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they did really good for me. And they're kind of a fast turnaround, and they give you a good description and all that good stuff. I tried AMSOIL. This was like during the pandemic, and they had lost it and then found it, and I think it took like 3 months before I got that sample back. So I said, "Yeah, I'm not messing with you guys anymore." But now I've got the OPS hooked up on the truck now. That thing's pretty sweet. And that, again, that's another money saver because you do oil samples with OPS. Now, OPS oil samples, they're a little more expensive, but you're just pulling oil out of that filter. After you change it, you take an oil sample every 20,000 miles or whatever you want, and then they'll tell you where your oil is. So you're not necessarily changing the oil I change oil every 20,000. I'm just going to do an oil sample every 20,000. They'll tell me where my oil condition is as far as base and metals and things of that nature. And then they may say, okay, drain a gallon, add a gallon of fresh oil in, or they'll say, okay, change oil and put all new oil in, because sometimes the base gets so whacked. But when you're taking oil out and putting fresh oil in, all you're doing is getting that base back up again. But so that alone, even for you, especially since you're changing your own oil, that's another benefit that you should look into, because now you're just doing oil samples. Yeah, yep.
I thought about getting that. I like the idea of kind of bypass filter.
Absolutely. And you change your OEM, you still change your OEM filter, but you do the OEM filter every other. So you're doing your OEM filter every 40,000. And then you're doing oil sample every 20 to 25, but and then you could go 40 to 50 on the OEM. But the filter is the power horse of oil. I mean, oil is oil, right? Oil doesn't go bad. Yeah. It's the filter's more or less gunk up, and especially when you got the soot and all that other stuff that's getting in the oil, and when you're taking some of that soot out and you're cleaning the oil, kind of polishing it. Turbos and everything. The longevity of your engine is based on the oil and the quality of oil. So OPS filter would be definitely a good investment. They're about $1,000. But definitely worth it. Especially with 634,000. I put mine on after $1 million.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep. But it's an add-on part. So even like when the truck needs to get rebuilt, they don't throw that OPS away. It's still worth something. You're still going to use it. Even, with a rebuild, you're still going to run that filter system. So, yeah, it's not like there's no bad time to buy one, right? There's no time because it's not like you're going to, do you have intentions of rebuilding that engine, or are you going to trade it when you get 800,000 on it?
I go back and forth on it. Part of me wants to just get a different truck after this life cycle is done. Part of me, it's my first truck and I want to keep it, even though there's plenty of stuff with this truck that
Don't get sentimental. Don't get sentimental. The reality is this. Depending on obviously, I've thrown a shit ton of money on my truck. There's no way I'm going to get that money out. The reality is I have to put a rebuild in it because it ain't worth shit to nobody but me. So I'll definitely get a rebuild done on it. But the reality is, even if it costs me $40,000, let's say I trade my truck in, let's say maybe they give me $20,000 for it. Very generous $20,000. So I got the $40,000 I'm saving, not doing a rebuild. So I've got $60,000. What kind of truck am I going to get at $60,000? That I'm not going to have to do the axles, the 3-box. I'm not going to have to flush the radiator. I'm not going to have to put any money into it at any time whatsoever for the next 3 or 4 years. Never going to happen, right? Never going to happen. What I don't want to do is trade one problem for another problem, because I've already got new springs and torsion bars and clutch and radiator and all that shit that's ever gone out on anybody else's truck, right? Why would I trade that in for another $60,000 piece of equipment, have that $60,000 payment? Well, I guess it'd be 40. I'd rather have 40 on a rebuild and still have those problems, because $400,000 trucks are blowing up nowadays.
I as of right now, if I were to replace this truck, I would drive it until it started giving me major issues, and then I'd prefer to get a brand new truck. I don't know. Well, by that point,
those major issues start slow, and before you know it, you've already gone by the major issues. like when we did our clutch, we did the clutch, the springs. I think we replaced a windshield. Did some nickel dime bullshit on the truck. We were at 16 grand. Now, if you don't put that 16 grand in, you're not going to get shit for a trade-in because nobody wants your truck with a blown up transmission, right? Or the clutch, especially on an automated transmission. We got new XY axis servos. We got clutch servos. I mean, we've got new wiring harnesses. Haven't had a lick of problem with the after treatment other than input-output knock sensor and a wiring harness. Never had to bake a filter, replace a filter. There's so much shit that's going wrong with these newer trucks right now. And the saying still works when it says they don't make them like they used to, because they sure as hell don't. They sure as hell don't. I mean, look at Jackknife TV. I mean, that poor guy going through everything he's got over that stupid death issue that I've never had to deal with in the 2015. But he's dealing with it on a 2022, 23?
Yeah.
I mean, it's asinine. It's absolutely asinine.
I agree. That's kind of why, like, at this point, I don't know what I'm going to do. The future is kind of undetermined, but I kind of want to keep the truck I currently have as a backup, if that's at all possible.
Yeah. That truck at the end of the day is going to be trustworthy to you. You're going to know what it's got done to it, what it needs to be done to it. And to have it as a secondary, and you with having your own authority, with the ability to have that second truck, absolutely. Keep it. Because it's worth more to you. Not sentimental-wise so much, but yes, sentimental-wise it is. But financially, it's worth more, because this is what's going to happen, and you know it. I know it. Somebody's going to buy that truck, and they're going to run it for another 200,000 miles with minor issues, and that could have been you. That could have been you. Yeah. Because that's the same as these fools that sold this truck. I bought it for $48,000, I think. I mean, I've had it for 5 years. Last year was a tough year with tires all around the trailer, tractor, all of that good stuff. And then, of course, the clutch and radiator and windshields and springs and, I mean, torsion bars. Just the run-of-the-mill stuff. But we were at about $60K last year. Now that includes the truck and the trailer, APU, all that stuff, all expenses, mechanic-wise, maintenance-wise, was $60K. I could have bought a $60,000 truck, could still be putting a shit ton of money in it today, just trying to keep it staying on the road. So I don't know. Trucking is such a. I wish it was easier. I mean, like this is just how it works. This is how it is, and this is it. And the fact of the matter is, it's so. One operation so different than somebody else's operation. It's not a cookie cutter business by any means. And I guess that's the good thing or the bad thing about it. You know, someone you would look at would look like, oh, he's going to fail miserably. Doesn't. And the guy who says, well, he's unstoppable is broken. You know, it's a tough gig. It is a tough gig out here. So hats off to you for even being out here, brother. And even having a conversation of like, hey, this is what I'm going to do, because I'm kind of stuck in what I'm planning on doing. But at least, I mean, you're still open to have that conversation, and I mean, that's kudos for that. You know, that you still have that open mind of how you want to run your gig. You know, and that and you have that open mind to maybe change your mind or not change your mind. There is nothing wrong with anything that you're doing. Nothing wrong with anything that you're doing. Nothing wrong. How someone else might tweak it or do it is, well, that's what they would do, and they're free to do that on their own accord. But what you're doing, dude, you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing, in my opinion, with it being as flexible as it is out here, wait till the market changes and the market gets good. Then watch. Because if you can survive in this market, you're unstoppable. You really are. And this market is bad compared to, you know, COVID shit. But this market is not as bad as 19. This is equivalent, in my opinion, to 19. It's not great rates, but we can all survive in it. We can all survive in these rates. Absolutely can.
I think the question
Even
is
with
if diesel starts getting up $4 or $5 a gallon again, which is going up, at least here in Missouri, it's went up 70 cents in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you're going to have that uptick and you're going to have the downtick. Obviously, I mean, this president he's horseshit. I mean, diesel prices should be a lot less, but you have to look at our government, and I'd say state and federal. They want these higher prices. They want this. They need the inflation. They need the inflation because that's how they get all their tax revenues, right? They need minimum wage to go up so they could get taxes on your higher wage earnings. They need the prices of products to go up so they have the sales tax. They want the prices of everything to go up because then everything goes up. Well, when everything goes up, what happens? They start pulling in a lot more money. So business-wise, I mean, that's how they're recouping all their money, or trying to get more money to give to Ukraine, I guess. I mean, I don't know, but it's a sham and it's a scam and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that our grocery prices nowadays is what we're looking at, solely based because of diesel. A lot of it's based on diesel, and of course your hourly rate. Yeah. But then you get into politics and stuff, and then it turns into an arguing match because, some people don't believe anything, and they have their own opinion, and that's what politics do, is it separates opinions. It divides the country, I guess. It divides the country.
It has to, though. I don't understand why it's got to be like that. But
I don't get it.
You're also talking to that doesn't like the Republican philosophy or the Democrat philosophy.
You know what I like? I like Huckabee. I like the guy who says, hey, you make all the fucking money, no taxes are taken out of you until you buy something. And then when you buy something, you pay tax on it.
Oh, so sales tax, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But sales tax, so like a loaf of bread is going to be a loaf of bread, but as soon as you buy it, that loaf of bread's going to it'll feel expensive, but you're getting 100% of your check. So you only pay taxes on stuff that you buy, right?
I didn't know Huckabee thought like that. I agree with
that.
that. But
yeah, that's how he thought. Now he was kind of janky on everything else, but that aspect, I mean, we're paying taxes on stuff before we even need to be paying taxes. I mean, it's taken directly out of our check before we even know how much we owe, right? They're already taking it from you. And I think it should be based on, so let's say if you want to make an investment in something, okay, well, that's not taxable income. If you want to put an investment, you only pay taxes when you pull it out of the investment. So investing would go a lot farther. People would have more control over their money, and maybe they wouldn't buy these bigger ticket items. The millionaires are going to pay their share. How many millionaires spend millions of dollars a year? I don't know. They buy a lot of shit, don't they? So if they buy a lot of shit, wouldn't they be forced then to not be able to pay zero taxes for the year?
Exactly.
Of course not, because they're spending it. They're spending that money on their jets and their jet fuel and all of this shit. Yeah, it's a tax write-off to them, but it wouldn't be a tax write-off anymore. They can't write it off. They'd end up paying it. But I don't know. I mean, a half a dozen of one and, half a dozen the other, I guess. It's just, I can see benefits of it, and I guess I see downfalls of it too, but I don't know. I think we got to have more control of our country, but then again, we're talking politics, and that goes off the rail in a hurry.
Yeah.
In a hurry.
I think there's going to have to be a reset until that happens. Too many people.
Yeah.
Too many people believe in the government being the savior.
Well, they're dependent. See, we don't have a middle class anymore. So it makes us dependent on the government. Makes us dependent for our Medicare, Medicaid. We're dependent for our food stamps, our groceries. We're dependent for our HUD housing, our rental payments. I mean, now we've got people that are career welfare recipients. when welfare was initially was just was something that was for temporary. You know, you temporary was on welfare, so you didn't lose everything and didn't live in the street, but you still had to find a job. You still had to go to work. Well, Democrats made it like, hey, you don't need to work. You could just stay on welfare and get our votes. You know, they locked down the votes, just like they open up the gates, thinking that all these Mexicans are going to be voting Democratic because they're going to think that the Republicans, they'll sell it like the Republicans are going to kick you all out. So they're stacking the deck at this point. Stacking the deck. Where if you had welfare recipients had to put 4 hours of work cleaning the streets, picking up trash, you know, pressure washing the piss off the curbs, they probably reconsider being on welfare. But you can't take somebody who's making, you know, $400 a week and then tell them, hey, go work in McDonald's for $10 an hour, 40-hour weeks. Well, that's $400 a week. Or let's say you make them $15 an hour, so they're making $200 more than they did on welfare. Well, they're going to look at it and say, well, why would I work 40 hours for $200 more? I'm not. I'm just going to keep my 400 and not work at all.
Well, that's what happened during COVID. I mean, they were paying them more to stay at home than what people got at their jobs.
Yeah, and then there's no reason to go to work. There's no reason to go to work. But if you made them work, right? If you made them, you made them, instead of hiring all these IRS agents, you know, what they should do is hire all these caseworkers, give them 20 people or 30 people to manage that are on welfare and say, okay, here's your job duties for today. You're going to get rid of the graffiti. You're going to clean up the streets. You're going to do this. You're going to do that before you get your welfare check, period. And then they'll think, okay, well, I'm tired of fucking doing curbs. I'm going to go to Walmart or I'm going to go to McDonald's and work. That only makes sense, right? Yeah. It's easy to find a job when you have a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's simple as that. Yeah. Simple as that. But I'm taking enough of your time, though, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate the chat. I really do. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, I want to keep this channel open for anyone who wants to come in.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
good stuff, brother. Absolutely, anytime. But you have a good night, man.
All right, you too. See ya.
All right, later.
All right. Anyone else want to jump in? If not, I think we're going to end it here. And it looks like I'm going to be getting detention here because I'm not even in a dock yet. I was kind of concerned that I was going to get put in a dock while he was in here. But I'll give it another 20 or so seconds and then I'm going to end it. Appreciate James for coming in. It was insightful. Yeah, he had a lot of good things to say, and I really appreciate it. We could differ, but still respect each other. Like, I don't know. I like that. I like it. So, James, thanks for coming in. But y'all got about 10 seconds, and then I'm going to end it. Once again, appreciate y'all for being in here. I missed a couple comments while he was in here. Organized Chaos, sup guys? And Fate. Some kind of made me laugh, but I couldn't get a chance to actually say it while he was in here. James Best, watching him torque it. Did I hear that right? Love you, Fate. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it and go back in and make sure they haven't forgot about me. But thankfully, that this load, I'll get paid detention for it. I think they pay $50 an hour for detention each hour, if I remember right. But thanks you guys for joining, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And this one will probably go private if I remember right. I think that's how my lives go until I get so many subscribers. I don't even know the number. But if y'all want to watch the replay, go right ahead. I'll put it back to public as soon as I can after I end this. But thanks you guys, and just keep positive thoughts. Hope you guys can make it through this market just like I am. And who knows, maybe I won't even, and I'll go company at the end of the year. We'll see. But thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.